Victoria's Pet Nutrition. Um, Today we're going to talk to you about the raw diet. And what the raw diet is, it's considered a living food diet. What that means is that the diet itself has been minimally processed and processed at all. And what the raw diet is just exactly what it sounds like. It's raw meat, but it's not just the meat. It's the bone marrow, it's organ meats of the animal. So it looks like they come in and it looks like raw meat, and you serve that directly to your pet as it is. If you do that either for dogs or for cats. Actually, kibble came about 100 years ago. When people started domesticating dogs more, they started to look for an easier way to feed their dog. Before that, a lot of people who had dogs would feed a raw food diet right off of what they were eating. If you were having steak and potatoes that night, the dog would eat steak and potatoes that night. But as industries got involved in the feeding process for pets, they started to realize that there was a cheaper way with a better markup to feed animals, and that's where the kibble formulas came about. So what the raw food is, I'm going to show you a couple samples of raw we have here today. We have about 5 different brands of raw in the store. And if you look at this one, this is by Nature's Variety. It's their Instinct Raw. This is their lamb formula. It comes in medallions. This one does, which are going to be about this big around, a little bit larger than a 50-cent piece or a silver dollar piece. And it's a little medallion. You unthaw those and you feed those to your pet. But they also come in hamburger-sized patties or real small, little tiny bites, depending on the size of your pet, obviously. But like the ingredients here are lamb, which is going to be the lamb meat, lamb kidney, lamb liver, ground lamb bone, which is going to have the marrow in, carrots, buttersquash, apples, kelp, broccoli, cod liver oil, salmon oil, apple cider vinegar, which is excellent for digestion, dried chicory root, and blueberries. So it's a complete food. This would be a complete natural food. And they also come in tubes. This is from Bravo. And these come in 2, 5, and 10-pound tubes. Basically the same thing, but just in a tube form. Now, the benefits of feeding raw are going to be that it is about as natural of a diet as you can feed your dog. It's what we feel the best way to feed your dog. And there are studies to prove that. There was a Belgian study done a few years back where they studied domestic dogs for 5 years, and they fed domestic dogs kibble, like a commercial kibble, like an Iams and a Purina, and then they fed the other half of the dogs raw. And the dogs that were fed raw lived approximately 32 months longer, so 2.6 years longer than the dogs that were fed a commercial dried kibble. Now, not that we are against kibble, but if you're going to feed kibble, and 95% of our customers here at the store do feed kibble, if you're going to feed kibble, always feed an all-natural kibble like the ones you find here at Victoria's Pet Nutrition, that have been minimally processed and are using non-rendered meats, non-processed foods, and are GMO-free. And if they have grains, they're going to have usable grains like barley, oatmeal, not corn, wheat, or soy, which are unusable grains. They're not organic to a dog's diet or a cat's diet, and they are usually almost always 100% GMO. But what a lot of people worry about with the raw diet is what about parasites? Now, parasites are normally almost always found in the gut, so in the digestion tract. And the digestion tract isn't part of the raw diet. You will not find the stomach or stomach lining or stomach contents in the raw food. So parasites are usually a non-issue in a raw diet, unless you're preparing it yourself at home, where there you might have some cross-contamination, and that's something you have to be very careful of. But if you're doing a raw diet food from our store, you will not find the gut material in any of the raw food. So parasites are a non-issue then. The other thing that a lot of people worry about are salmonella. Now, the one thing I can say for the raw food industry for pets is that they test extensively for salmonella. Salmonella is tested extensively. If there's even a worry of it being in there, it didn't even test, but they think that there could be some contamination of salmonella, they are recalled and pulled off the market. So the chances of raw food having salmonella is really nil. But even if it has salmonella, most dogs and cats already have salmonella in them. Their bodies have been designed by nature to eat raw food. A barn cat would eat mice, and no one worries if their barn cat's eating mice and rushing to the vet that, oh, they may found a dead mouse and now they may have salmonella. They don't even worry about the parasites when they eat the whole mouse, because that means eating the gut. Dogs have been, will eat rabbits, they'll eat squirrels, they'll eat dead rabbits, they'll clean out a litter of baby rabbits. No one worries about that dog may get parasites or may get salmonella, okay? Because their systems have been set up to handle a lot of things that our human system have not been set up to handle. So most dogs, all dogs and cats have some sort of salmonella. So even if your vet comes along and says, oh, your dog's test positive for salmonella, find out to what degree, because the thing is that naturally they have salmonella. The other thing is that a dog and cat's stomach has a pH of about 1, which is about as acidic as you can get, meaning that anything they eat, any kind of, even if it would be a parasite or salmonella, most likely their gut is going to kill it with the acidicness of their stomach. And their stomachs have been designed that way because they're sometimes eating dead meat or raw meat, things like that in the wild. So their stomach has been designed to kill any kind of foreign bacteria, salmonella, things like that, that they would consume because of having that low of a pH. Just to give you an example, neutral on the pH scale is 7. And their stomachs have an acidic of 1. 10 is alkaline. So if they're already down at 1, their stomachs are about as acidic as it can possibly get. So salmonella is not an issue that you really have to worry about with feeding a raw diet. Again, especially if you're doing commercially bought raw. If you're making it at home, yes, you got to watch how you're handling that raw meat. Now, we have fed our dogs raw food for Lulu's 9, and we fed her for 9 years raw diet. And we can see in her being an English bulldog, they have a shorter lifespan than most dogs. 9 is starting to get to that point where they're looking at getting older and possibly death. Now, Lulu, if any of you have met her, she's our brindle, is about as vibrant as any puppy that you're going to see in here. And we really contribute that to the raw diet. The other thing with raw, the big advantage with raw too, is the fact that you can control allergies very well, because you're specifically feeding one protein source. There's no grains, so you've eliminated grains from the allergies, but you're also feeding one protein source. Now, when you look at a lot of commercial dog foods, they're going to have a multitude of protein sources. And they're going to have, especially your store-bought and your grocery store-bought foods, you're going to see a lot of rendered products, non-organic rendered products that is in no way healthy for your pet. Here at Victoria's, if you're buying a kibble from us, which, excuse me, I said about 95% of the people who come in our store buy kibble, you're going to find kibble that is going to come from a non-rendered source. It's going to have non-GMO products in it. It's going to have foods that are organic to that pet's diet. So even though they've been processed, they are minimally processed, making it, one step above raw. When you start buying commercial dog foods from, your grocery stores or your big box pet stores, you're going to start finding those rendered meats. You're going to start finding maximal processing and things like that in those foods. So not that all kibbles are bad. There are many, many very good kibbles, but if you are looking for the most natural way and probably the best and healthiest way to feed your pet, which your pet has been designed to eat, then the raw diet is for you. Now, if you have any questions on raw, feel free to come in the store and ask us about that. Tomorrow we're going to film an episode where we actually prepare raw in our home, so that you can see us, how we make raw and what's the process of preparing raw for your pet on a daily basis. Again, thank you for tuning in, and we will see you tomorrow.